Welcome, everyone. Let's get it. This is going to be a very powerful episode for you to think about capacity in a brand new way and how it's probably affecting your visibility. If you're a business owner, you have to be visible. It's your job description to advertise, to sell, to speak. And so, what we often think is that we have a visibility problem, or there's some level of confidence we need, or we need to prove ourselves more, or the reason we're not getting that raise or getting those clients is because we are actually unprepared on some level. But here's the thing, you're an expert. So you do not have a visibility problem, but you do have a capacity problem. So let's talk about it. I had a reel go viral recently. You may or may not have seen it. But really on screen, this is talking about the following. Unpopular opinion. A moment of visibility isn't the point. It's who you have to be after that scares you. There's a reason why over 3,000 people viewed it. And it got a lot of likes, a lot of bookmarks, a lot of shares, viral, viral, viral. Why? Because we often think that visibility is the point. We have to get more visible. Where's the next stage? How can I go viral? How can I become more visible? But until you recognize that you can't become more visible until you address an underlying fear of capacity, you won't become more visible. You will find some way to hijack yourself. And chances are you might be doing this right now. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that we have something pulling and tugging the strings of our unconscious, our subconscious, that is actually making our conscious mind decide that visibility isn't safe, or that you don't belong in certain rooms, or you need to go get a new degree or certification, or you need to sell harder, or you need to speak faster, you need to prove yourself. In other words, not being okay with what comes after a moment of visibility is what is actually sabotaging your visibility. For example, when you go on a big stage, there's applause, it goes really well. You're like, holy crap, this is exactly what I knew this. I knew I could do such a great job. You're connecting with people off the stage. Your DMs are blowing up. People are joining your programs, or people are signing into your free lead magnet. Okay. All of a sudden, there is the aftershock of that initial moment of visibility. The aftershock is what you're actually responding to always. Because deep down subconsciously, you understand, your nervous system understands that the visibility, the initial point of impact, is not the point. That there's a whole world that you have to sustain after that moment of visibility. There's a shockwave of responsibility. So there's visibility, and then there's responsibility. Visibility is what happens initially. But what we're subconsciously afraid of is that we're going to drop the ball somewhere. We are already feeling so busy. And this is a conversation I've been having a lot inside of my coaching containers and with some of my one-on-one clients, is overwhelm and just feeling like there's so much going on that you don't know which way to go. So if that were the case and you're feeling that way, why would it ever be safe for you to go and seek out more? Because that's exactly what a moment of visibility is going to give you. Once you have your visibility on that big stage with 1,000 people, you're going to have to deal with the responsibility after the moment of visibility. Responsibility is what comes after visibility. Responsibility is your ability to respond to more. And if more feels like a threat, just you hearing this, you're starting to sweat. That's information. That's some data for you to think about. Well, how am I structuring my life? What things am I consistently saying yes to that are actually stealing my attention and energy away from the things I really need to be doing in my leadership and in my business? Where am I overcommitting myself because I feel like I need to people please? All of these things are convenient distractions. which take you away from your very purpose on this planet and how you're supposed to be showing up, the level of visibility that you're supposed to be playing at. Because what we fear isn't the actual moment of visibility. We fear the responsibility that has to come after. And you're keenly aware of that. Your nervous system is very aware of that because there's probably a moment in the past where you had some visibility and it went really well for you. But what came after felt like a lot of pressure. I'll give you an example. You're doing well at work, boss calls you in for a chat, wants to give you a raise, wants to give you a higher position. You can't say no to that money because you have responsibilities at home. And so you say yes. Not only did you get a raise, but now you have more responsibility. Maybe you're managing people now. And along with that responsibility comes more visibility, which begets more responsibility. So they're inextricably linked. So you say yes to this job, but all of a sudden the pressure is there of now I got to show up and really perform. Another example is when you start to get paid to speak. It's one thing to you pay your way to this stage that feels actually really safe. It's another thing to have no money exchanged at all and to show up and speak for free or in exchange of, say, like some marketing materials, your logo on things. It's a completely different category of responsibility to be paid because the visibility was just known. You've been visible. You're known for something. Someone likes what you have to give. And so they book you to speak. You're kicking ass. They book you to speak. But that's not really what scares you. What scares you is that you have to respond. You have to sustain. And what we're really saying is that you don't have a problem with visibility. And deep down, you know that. That's why you're frustrated when you go to speak at this new level of leadership, at this new level of visibility in your business. You're like, why are the words coming out weird? Why do I know in my head what to say and I can feel it in my heart? Yet when I'm visible, it's just kind of like, this isn't me. I could do a better job. And it's so frustrating, right? You know you don't have a problem speaking. You have a capacity problem, not a knowledge problem. You have a capacity problem, not a confidence problem. Your biology and nervous system literally right now is saying we cannot handle more. And so that's why we self-sabotage. We stop showing up for things. We say we're going to launch this thing, but then we don't launch the product or service. We say we're going to get on that stage, but suddenly we're disinterested in the topic. Or let's say you're about to go live or you're about to do a Zoom call at work, but then you suddenly are sick or have a migraine and you take yourself out of the game. You ref yourself out. That's all to keep yourself safe, to keep yourself playing small. And that's not what we're about around here. The Vocal Honey movement and the Vocal Honey woman is about intentionally choosing discomfort because she knows tension is teaching. That's our motto. Tension is teaching us where to go in order to grow. That's what we do around here. We choose intentionally aligned friction, aligned discomfort so that we can grow in the right direction and in the right areas of our life. But to do that means you're ultimately saying, I know my brain and my biology is going to fight me along the way by making me think I can't do this, making me think those people don't want to hear from me, making me think I'm underprepared or underdressed. When really, you're the one who will move that whole room. What you're fearing is the capacity to handle what comes after a moment of visibility. So what are these moments of visibility? And what comes after the moments of visibility? Let's say you're walking into a networking room and you're having a great time and you start to really speak your truth. You're speaking it with authority. You're speaking it with ease. You're giving great body language and eye contact. You're owning your space. What happens after that is someone goes home and they think about what you said. For some of you, that's enough to freak you out right there because you know someone's thinking about what you said. That means there's time for them to agree. There might be time for them to disagree with you. Can you handle someone's thinking about you disagreeing with what you said? If you said no, you have a capacity problem. Someone leaves the networking event with you and they go home and they're just like complaining about you to their spouse because they don't agree with you at all. In fact, you agitated them, but it was your truth. Can you handle or hold right now the feeling of someone disliked me? at this networking event? If you said no, you have a capacity problem. You get done with this networking event and you impressed someone, they related to you, you sold them into your package, and now they're blowing up your DMs with send me the link. And then they're like, do you have a Google Calendar invite? And then they're like, how much is the price? And then they have all these questions. Can you handle extra questions right now? Can you handle right now, truthfully, without any shame? Like, let's just name it. If more customers, more clients showed up right now and said, give me the link, I'm ready to join, would you know what to do with them? Would you be confident that you can deliver a stellar customer experience consistently? Or does that make you collapse in? If that makes you shrink a little, you have a capacity problem, not a speaking, confidence, or visibility or expert problem. But again, deep down, you already knew that. What we're getting at here is the heart of what really is pulling the levers on your life. Visibility is required to get you to the next level of making impact in this world. So we have to talk about these deeper subconscious ideas, the subconscious rulings of our mind. Everything you're doing right now to step towards something or away from it is just based on what you say or what you believe. So we have to change our beliefs with scheduling, our beliefs around capacity, our beliefs around being busy or not, our beliefs around more. What if you had space in your schedule the day after a networking event to catch up with people because you anticipated more? What if you had some automations ready to go via email to cover your ass a day or two after a stage because you know you're just going to be busy? Like, what if those automations said, so great to connect with you at such and such event due to a high velocity of amazing people getting a hold of me. It's going to be a few days. In the meantime, here's a free YouTube video. Here's a resource for you. I can't wait to connect in a few days. In other words, what would it look like for you to today decide that you're going to change your relationship to more and start building in actual systems to help you feel like capacity and saying yes to visibility? Because it's not that moment of visibility, it's the responsibility that comes after is what's really blocking you. What if you were able to set yourself up with some systems in your business today that allowed you to say yes with no problem? In other words, it's the meaning and it's the actions that we take around our responsibility in our visibility that will allow you to either feel distraught and worried or very settled and grounded. You can create systems in your life that allows the wave of visibility, the wave of responsibility that is already here and more is coming to feel very good in your body. But what you can't afford to do is to sit back and do nothing. To let this podcast, let this YouTube video shake you a little today. Let it make you uncomfortable. I hope that it called you forward to the edge of something that feels like a truth, because ultimately addressing that, shining the light on it, that you have no problem with visibility, but it's really a capacity and responsibility game, a sustaining of what you said you could do that's really scaring you. I want to take it in a similar but different direction because I just said that and something stirred in me. Sometimes we're afraid that we can't be consistent and deliver on what we said we could deliver. That is a capacity problem based on nervous system. So in other words, your business and your consistency, if it's running off of you feeling good, meaning you're getting everything done and you're able to talk about your business, you're able to make content, you're able to show up only when you feel like it, you're going to be in trouble. Capacity doesn't need you to feel good. We're not running on adrenaline or even interest any longer. The level that you're at right now, I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you don't need to like your business this much anymore. You don't need to be on so much. You actually can get bored with your business and it's still okay, because your business does not need you to have the human level of interest that maybe you once needed to start it. How does this relate to everything? Because part of the reason that you're not going to the networking meetings, you're not applying for the stages anymore, you suddenly feel like you had momentum, but now maybe you stopped, you're considering things a little bit too much, and you're trying to maybe get perfect on things instead of just going for it messy, is because along the way, you decided to make your business content or your visibility happen only when you feel good. So the pressure is on. In other words, when you're visible, the responsibility is then, if you're visible and you're on and you're feeling good, well, then everything else you give beyond that point to that client or that new contact needs to be in the same energy of when you first met. But if you were performing, you're in trouble, because who the heck can sustain that? Who wants to sustain that? And so the deeper work here is becoming okay with being real and running your business, becoming okay with being tired some days and still being visible. If you allow yourself to be visible during those states, we're no longer running off of adrenaline, and you're no longer basing your business and visibility on your nervous system. Instead, now we're saying, I'm consistently showing up. It's more about consistency and visibility. It's more about consistency in your message. It's more about alignment. Then the responsibility of sustaining that is so much easier on you. So remember, the point of visibility isn't to just be visible. It's to remind you that you have a subconscious fear. We all have it at times. It's really about the sustaining of things to come. And so the move here is to work on yourself when no one's looking. This is where having a daily subconscious ritual to which you are visualizing and mentally rehearsing the day, how you want it to go, your energy levels, opportunities, mentally rehearsing how you're going to show up, mentally rehearsing you sustaining the wave of responsibility that comes after the quick moment of visibility. Everything you do behind the scenes to practice that new version of yourself has to now include you practicing and rehearsing sustaining. And how much easier is it going to be, do you think? Let's become more focused on being real and aligned, and then allow that visibility energy to show up more consistently. Then you will not be so afraid or be blocking or sabotaging what you know to be a capacity level upgrade in your life that will actually help you sustain and regulate the wave of responsibility. And then that's more emails, more DMs, more opportunities, more clients, just more, so that more does not feel like a threat. Let me know below this video if you needed to hear this message today and how this is helping you rethink or reframe maybe something that you're going through right now with visibility. I cannot wait to read and comment back, and I will see you guys in the next video.